still missing two people. I'm going to give them a few more minutes to come. In the meantime, if you would please try to, we are going to use a different feed today. You guys are getting promoted to our commercial feed with all the data that we have. The reason is that we will work with a very complicated file that is not available on our regular feed. So this is the feed we'll use today, udmdirect.dairymarkets.com, and then instead of the one that we used last week, /universal, capital U, less small, the rest is small, universal. Now, unlike before, this one is going to ask you for a password and username. So it's going to give you first not authorized window, and then you'll have to go to you'll have to input your password and username and password. Username is APEC, all small letters, APEC4501S19 @gmail.com, and password is APEC401 *. A is capital there. Hey, good morning. So type in the URL first. You will get to a screen. Yes, that's right. So when you get to this screen, go to basic on the side here, and then you input that username and password. And then when they ask you which level to apply those credentials to, use the universal. You have a drop-down menu there and use the universal. On a blank sheet, yeah. You just want, and then just load any data from there, any of the tables you work with. The whole purpose of that exercise is to just get warmed up a little bit, and also for your credentials to get cached in the system. Yes. Sorry, the site is open, but yes, you can. You can log in there. There's not much to see there. You won't let you sign? Yeah. No, this will allow you to sign. Yeah, and I did upload the video. So your email, which is travel. Okay, I want to make sure that everybody is logged in. This is going to be the foundation of everything else we do today. Go to basic here. And just pull some data. I want you to just choose whatever data and pull some data here. Go to basic. So APEC4501S19 @gmail.com is your username, all small letters. APEC4501 * is your password with a capital A. This is a textbook example of a bad password. I want to keep it simple. Yes, sir.
Oh, you know what's
Because your mind. If they only were teaching this in 2010, where would this university be? Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just pull some data. Just go through. This is the table and pull some data. That's the only way the credentials will get cached, will get stored in the system. And closing off. So you have to actually get the data into the Excel file. Okay, hold on. We're going to basic. Yep. Hold on. S19 @gmail. Okay, gotta reload it? uniondirect.dairymarkets.com/universal with a capital U. Okay, so what we are going to do today is build the crown achievement of our 3 weeks together, a fully implemented premium calculator for one risk management product. And everything that we've studied so far will be there. So I need to pull this down. And I'll show you what I have in mind. Okay, so this is what we are going to build today and on Thursday, and then part of this will be your homework. Just takes a bit. Okay, so what do we have here? This is, I believe I showed this to you just briefly on the first of my module. This is a fully fully functional premium calculator that allows the user, dairy producers from around the nation, to say, to choose their state, choose the period for which they wish to protect their revenue. It allows them to customize the product so that it fits their particular production profile. Every dairy farm is different. Some have cows that don't produce as much milk, but they produce a lot of protein in that milk, a lot of butter fat. Others go for volume with lower solids. So they can customize the risk protection here. They can customize how many pounds they're producing. Good morning. And so this is a fully functional calculator that once these inputs are set, we can first click the button and calculate the premiums, or we can go to this reset sales effective date. I'm going to do that. So what happens now is the date has been reset to today, which I don't think will work actually because there are no sales yet today. So actually we are going to put it as only the first time you run this on a computer, you need to do these. Okay, so we are going to make this be 3/4/2019. So that's yesterday. And we are going to choose, for example, July, September 2019 in Minnesota. And then when you calculate, when you press calculate premium, remember we studied how to do the buttons last time. When you press that, all of the feeds that are connected and that are currently hidden, I'm soon about to unmask them. All of them will be activated. All of them go to the cloud, pull in the new data. They only pull the data for Minnesota for this quarter. Only what's necessary. The minimum data necessary is pulled, and then the premiums calculated are listed here. And the interest, our interest in studying this product isn't that you are going to be crop insurance salesman or that you need to know dairy for any particular purpose. The reason this calculator is interesting because it combines everything that we've studied so far, and it drives home the point that in complex environments, in business environments that you will find yourself in, it is never, or very rarely, is it just one table. So we talked last week that you use the database. So you typically have different kinds of information that you have to combine. If you recall, 2 weeks ago, we had a similar situation with a block barrel spread, but where we needed one particular step of that process, we needed to merge two tables together. One table, another table, and then similarly, this is a very, very complex product. We need information on states, we need information on time periods, we need information for different other customizable dimensions here. So it would be foolish for USDA, this USDA is administering this product, it would be foolish, unwise for them to try to build just one table that contains all of this information. So they split the information necessary to calculate these premiums into many different tables. And I wanted to talk with you today here about the relational database structure in general, and how it, in more generally, when you have tables that relate to each other. So I will introduce very gently just a few concepts that I believe will serve you well later in life. The only thing we did before you were able to join us is we went through this new link today. UDMDirect.dairymarkets.com is the same as before, but /universal instead of the old one that we used. Okay, so so I'm going to start unpacking this today, and you will see many things that you've seen before. For example, how a particular parameter is used to pull the data from a particular table, etc. And then, as we start doing that, you will see how these tables start fitting together. So on your canvas, I have posted, three files. The first one is the calculator that I just showed you. Just slightly different version because I already unhid a bunch of sheets that you will need. Second is the description of the tables, and that will become clearer in a moment. And then the third one is my PowerPoint presentation about this program. We're going to use it a little bit later today to understand some of the formulas that we will be working with. My other goal today on Thursday is to just show you how insurance products are priced with the use of log normal distribution. So how typically people model uncertainty, model risk, and model. We've seen it to some extent. We've seen that with MPP already, the homework that you just had. But we'll now take it a step back, and rather than giving you a full set of prices, I will give you something that needs to be pushed through a formula that results in prices in the end. And the hope is that you will get a deeper intuition for how simulations are done in commercial products, in real world products. Okay, so let's get going. I think what would probably be the best is for you to open a brand new file and then together we'll start just replicating this file. I'll guide you through it, and we'll just rebuild essentially. Maybe it won't be as pretty as this one, but we will rebuild what's here over the next hour and a half. And then in the process, we'll understand the relational structure of tables. Okay, so I'm going to open a brand new file. And we'll just build it element by element. Okay, so in the cell D5 of the DRP what if table tab, excuse me, in the completed calculator, what we see is a drop-down list. This is a drop-down list with a list of all the states. So the first thing that we are interested in is replicating that part, replicating the drop-down menu. And here the cells are merged, D and E. We'll just make it to be a single cell just to keep it simpler. So I need to know where is this cell pointing to. So I'll go to data. I'll go to data validation. That's the data validation there. Just nagging about it a little bit. Okay. So what this is saying is that the only data allowed in the drop-down menu will be pulled from the tab DRP_state. So what we need to do is we need to see, we need to unhide. I think I might have unhid it in your version of the file already. So there, the tab that we're interested in is DRP state. Okay, so this is the tab here. And now we begin to see where this is going. USDA publishes a table, and if you go to data, queries, and connections, and then find the link, the first one on the top, 520. So USDA publishes a table where all the states are listed. I'm just loading that query now. All the states are listed and a bunch of other stuff that we don't need. And every state is given a code, a number. So Alabama is given a code 1, Alaska is 2, etc., etc., etc. Minnesota, I think, is 27, if I recall correctly. And this is, in general, true for all the databases that you will work with in your life, as well as those that you may end up building. Whenever you have some text, some structures that will not change over time, today and tomorrow and in 2 years from now, we will still have 50 states, or maybe we'll admit Puerto Rico eventually as a state. I don't know. You know, or DC. You know, but you know, this data is typically it's called static data, and we will need this data in other tables as well. For example, we will store different information about milk production for every state. When we start doing that, we don't want to have the string Minnesota every time that we store information about Minnesota. That's expensive. Minnesota is a word that has so many bytes. Somebody can type something wrong instead of Minnesota, type in Minnesota or whatever, and then you can't find data. So to ensure data consistency, as well as to have parsimonious structure, for every time that you have data that doesn't change through time, you will assign it a code. So this state code, this is going to be called the primary key. Primary key because this is just like, for example, you know, if you look at your ID card, your student ID card, you know, on that card, you know, you are actually given a number. So I have a faculty number, but I think it's very similar to your number. So you have a number. You are a number in the system. Every time that somebody assigns a grade to you every time that's anything related to your dossier is changed. They will store it in the system under that number. And then there's probably a separate table where your name and last name is associated with that. So that allows the system, allows the university to store all your data uniquely connected to you without having to write your name every time. And that's exactly what we are doing here. So in this table, we'll just remove a bunch of columns. We will just leave the state code and state name, and then we will rotate the order of these columns, and then we will load, and we will call that DRP_state. So here's what I would like you to do. I would like you to go to that link that you cached your credentials for before, and I would like you to find this table, UDM report, USDA, RMA, A005. Then I want you to load it and do all the modifications needed to make it look exactly the same. Maybe colors can be different. I don't care about colors. To make it look exactly the same as we have in this master file that's already developed for us. The state name first, state code second. So, and call that tab DRP_state. Coming. As you do some steps, if you like, so this is how the table should look like in the end. This displayed here. So if you need to look at the steps that were done, you can close and load, go to the master file, find that tab, and then see what were the steps taken there to help yourself. We're still waiting for someone? Everyone has it done? Okay, so I'll just do the same. so that we have the file the same level. So go to data, recent sources, universal, .520, state, edit, keep the state code and state name, remove other columns, rotate, reorder, close and load. Get coffee while it's loading. Okay, we'll call this DRP state. Okay, and that's exactly what we have in the old one. Never mind the colors of the table. Okay, so now what do we have in this sheet? So now we'll in the cell D5 create a drop-down menu that takes as allowed values the column state name from this table. So only the states should be allowed in the list. In fact, don't allow the state. Don't allow this string. Just allow from Alabama down to Wyoming. Okay. Let me see how you guys are doing. Or maybe you want to color that some color that will indicate that it's a user input. So let's be mindful of this. Very good. Okay, so how can we now utilize this for further purposes? So here's what we need to do. There will be some tables that we will start working with very soon. And those tables will need to know the information about the state code for the state selected by the user. So so you can see here, I have a query state code, and then the state code is later used to get, for example, daily prices. So when I get daily prices, the query sent to the server will be, hey, give me the today's prices, give me the daily prices only for the state code 27, okay? Or only for whatever the code of the state that is selected by the user. So we will need, for future queries, we will need a state code. But we still don't know the state code. We only know so far what is the state that the user selected. We don't know what is the state code of the state that the user selected. So that is going to be the next step that we are going to do. So if you look under the tabs, there's a tab called DRP_parameters. And in that tab, I have a logic that maps the selected choice for the state from the dashboard screen on, and so it uses that as an input and returns back the code of that state. So now we have to use the VLOOKUP. Okay? So I'm not going to at first give you all the details. You have seen this before. You have worked with this before. I want you to create a tab, DRP_parameters. And in the cell B2, I would like to see the number that is the state code of the state that has been selected in the dashboard tab. If you want, you can call the dashboard tab the same as in the master file, DRP space what-if, what if, because this is the what if analysis. That's the part that's interesting. If you don't know how to do it, you have the master file, it already has it solved for you. I don't want you to copy paste, I want you to rebuild it. I'm going to need to work with your colleagues first. So help each other at the table. It will be helpful if you don't work by yourself. It will be helpful if you help each other. Yes. Yes. Very good. Very good. Worst case scenario, if you can't figure it out, just copy it from the master file and then figure it out. So the general protocol that we are learning here with this particular instance is how to convert the user input that has to be in a user-friendly way. So it has to be a string. If I gave these codes to a user and say, would you like to cover stage 27 or 25? They'll be like, huh? What are you talking about? So we are converting something that is user-friendly into something that the code will be able to read with ease later. So states to codes. In a little bit, we will be doing the same for quarters. So we'll be converting the quarters, which is a very nice user-intuitive way, July to September, and then year, etc. We will be converting that to a code as well. So that's going to be our next step. But we are, everything is going to be very similar to what we are doing with the state right now. B2. Does everyone have this? Anybody need more time or assistance? Okay. Okay. Everybody else has it here? Test it, always test it. Try changing the state of the drop-down menu, see if your code changes properly. Okay. Now, so this insurance is offered for all 50 states of the United States. In every state, the information is a little bit differently. For example, milk per cow is a little bit different, etc. So that's why we need to know which state is. The price is going to be different by every state. The next information that dairy producers have to choose regards the quarter that they will protect. So this insurance works in such a way that you cover your revenue for a particular quarter. And during one reinsurance year, why would it start on January 1st? So it starts on July 1st. So reinsurance year starts on July 1st, runs through June 30th of the following year. So the reinsurance year 2019 started on July 1st, 2018. Okay? And there are different quarters that you can buy during that reinsurance year. So you can buy the last quarter of 2018. So let's say on July 1st of last year, you could have purchased the last quarter of 2018. You could have purchased the first quarter of 2019, second quarter of 2019, third and fourth quarter of 2019, and then that's five, 3 more quarters in 2020. So there are altogether 8 different quarters that you can purchase during one reinsurance year. Not all of them are always offered on sale. At any given point in time, there are only 5 quarters that are offered on sale. So you can always cover. So this is you doing risk management, and you can cover your production. You can cover your price exposure up to about between 15 and 18 months out. Okay. So what we need to do next, we need to implement the logic that will allow our user to choose which quarter they want to protect in a very easy, intuitive way. So you can see how that is implemented here. July, September 2019, 2020, January, March, etc. So this is what the user sees. User doesn't have to know the technical terminology that is happening in the background. But you, as a designer of this calculator, you have to know it. So each of these quarters are called practices. So each quarter is called a practice in the. I know it's a little bit like why practice, but trust me. When I started working with Risk Management Agency on the design of this product last year, I had so much alphabet soup I didn't touch the soup in real life for 6 months. It was just overwhelming. So this is called a practice. Okay. If you look at the calculator, there is a table 510. This one here, And it says, I figured data master. Okay, if we find that tab, I have to unhide it. DRP practice. So if I find that tab, you see that we prepared here something very, very similar to what we did with states. The first column is something that the users will see. The second column will be the code that we will later use to selectively pull data from the server only for the state that we need it for and for the quarter or the practice that we need it for. Okay, so this is what we need to create next. And then we need to create the drop-down menu on the what if page. I would advise that you call these tabs exactly as in the master file. That way you can compare the master file to your calculator very easily. So this is going to sit in D6, D6, yes. So this is going to sit in D6. But before we make that, we need to make the practice. But this one, we will need to do a little bit more changes relative to the states. So I'm going to walk you through these changes quickly, and then you will see whether you can replicate it on your end. Of course, you do have the master file in front of you, so if you get stuck at any point, you can see exactly what the step is. Or maybe you can work in pairs. So one of the screen can look at the solution, the other screen you can try to replicate the solution step by step. So here's what we will do. We will first load everything from this table 510 practice. Then I will filter rows. And if you look at how I filtered it such that commodity code equals 0830. 0830 is basically just milk. Risk Management Agency offers risk products for dozens and dozens and dozens of commodities. If we just look at the, they're not even listed here, all the commodities, but they have everything, like from corn, soybeans, milk, cattle, various specialty crops, etc. We don't need all of that. We just need milk. So this filter rows is saying just leave the milk in, leave the body, take the cannoli, right? So, and then we don't need many columns, so we'll trim it down to just practice code and practice name and reinsurance here. Then we will, what we need to do is now we need to beautify this a little bit. This is still looking fairly ugly. These are the technical terms put forward by RMA, Risk Management Agency. So the first thing I'll do is I'll split this column using the slash as the splitter, the symbol slash. So that is going to split the column. Remember we did something similar with block we used the comma to split the barrels, I believe. Then I'm going to do that again to split this column here. I need to understand the here, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so I split it first. Then I'm going to remove the column I don't need. Then I'm going to extract the last character of this one. So there's one of the, let me see, where is it? Extract last characters. This is what we'll use to get the last character. I changed the type to number. I had a custom column. What is the custom column equal to? Reinsurance here plus that column minus 2. Why is that the case? Because what I want to show my user is the calendar year of the quarter that he can choose. And then remove everything else, merge columns, merge these two columns, remove everything that you don't need, reorder them, close and load, and you're done. So just a little bit, just an exercise in data cleaning. What I would advise you to do, because this involves about 1,000 steps, is to maybe work in pairs at least. And then to have, or maybe if you're working alone, maybe you can make two screens face you, if it will help. So on one screen, you can see the solution. On the second screen, you can replicate these steps. Eventually, you will understand why I have 5 screens at home. All right, so take about 10 minutes to do that. Okay. This is the calendar year. So reinsurance year 2019 will offer protection for the last quarter of the calendar year 2018, the entire calendar year 2019, and the first 3 quarters of the calendar year 2020. So you're doing fine. No mistake there. You just need to. Okay, what is confusing a lot of people is that we see 3 different years here: 2018, 19, and 20, Whereas in the source sheet, you only see 2019 on the reinsurance year column. That is okay, because this here is the calendar year. And remember, I told you within the same reinsurance year, we offer 8 quotas, which span 3 calendar years. So that's why we have that one of the steps there will be converting the information on the year 1, 2, or 3, and the plus the reinsurance year, it will convert it to the calendar year. So just follow the same steps as you have seen in the master file, and just replicate them step by step on your end. When you extract last characters, you will see a little hurdle there that the last character is actually a space, maybe depending on how you split it. Oh, you know what? I think it has to do with how you split it. I think it has to do with how you split the column. Were you able to convert the type to number? Okay, so that's the next step. Yeah, because now you currently have a digit and a space. Okay, so yes, so when you go here, so we were here, and we were split column or the limit. Yeah, so then you can go to custom, and you can put space dash space, or space dash, and now we're going to do one. Yeah. Yep, come down. It's not open. Oh, while you're in the query editor, know your files will be open. So that's how you may want to Now I'm getting you to really be programmers using 2 screens, huh? Microphone went to sleep. This is, by the way, a very useful principle for building anything new. Once you have a problem you're trying to solve, try to find something similar that is solved, and then replicate that. Was that? Yeah, that's cool. It looks nice. Let me tell you, I didn't after I signed it, because I'm very pleased with what you're doing. Look at this stuff. Because I mean, during hospital, I was because we're covering all the same methods as we did before. Well, let me ask you again. I'm happy to extend it further. Well, I mean, I'm happy to extend the deadline for the traditional one. No, we only have this class and the next class, and this is a pretty big project, so I have to make sure that we use it. And then I'll be happy to have one. Coming. How are we doing, guys? I see. You're done. You're done. Yes. Was it the practice room? Yeah, yeah, but all right. Understand? Okay, guys, wrap it up. We need to move forward. Quickly. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, so we need to work with, remember I told you that we have tables, and tables need to know, which rows from other tables to pick up, okay? So in particular, if you look at the daily table, this is a daily table. When I first load it, it has a bunch of stuff, and let me see. Let's see. Just a second. Yeah. All right, let's do one more easy one. So on the what if table, where is this? Hide. Okay, so we'll do an easy one first. We'll do it just slightly differently than in master file. So for every crop insurance product, USDA wants to subsidize it. The government will subsidize it, so you will not, the users will not have to pay the market premium, or the fair premium is, they will pay a subsidized premium. But USDA wants to subsidize it more if you take deeper deductible, because it's believed to be in a national interest, I guess, to make sure that everybody is at least covers some catastrophic level. And then if they want to buy up, if they want to buy more comprehensive coverage, it will still be subsidized, but not at the percentage that is as high. So in the queries in the master file, there is a query A0070 subsidy percent. When I load that one, and after all the filtering, this is how it looks like. We have different coverage levels, and there are subsidy percent associated with that coverage level. Okay? So where does this enter into our calculator? In the what if sheet, we have in D10 coverage level 0.95. I have it a little bit differently implemented in the master file, but if I were to make master file again, here's how I would want it done. I would want to have, for example, here in A8, I would want to have subsidy percent. And then here, I would want to have a number that indicates the subsidy percentage that changes when the user changes different coverage levels. So what is a coverage level? In the next few steps, we will calculate what the expected revenue is for this farm. And then we will say, hey, Mr. Farmer, or Mrs. Farmer, or Miss Farmer, so this is your expected revenue. Would you like your guaranteed revenue to be here, or here, or here? How much pain are you willing to tolerate before this insurance covers and provides the floor? The more pain you're willing to tolerate, the cheaper your premium is going to be. Just sort of like with car insurance, right? If you just buy the mandatory car insurance, it's very cheap, but in case you are the one to cause the accident, it will only cover the repairs for the other person, not for your car. If you want to, here it's a little bit different that there are not two parties, but it's still the same principle. If you want more comprehensive coverage, the premium will be higher. So let's do the same thing that we did now for two different sheets already. So we covered the practice, and that became the quarter. We covered the state, and that became the state code there. And now we will introduce the coverage level, so that this is going to be a list where they can choose the coverage level. And then the list will be provided from this table, A00070 subsidy percent annual. The only modification that we need to do there is that we need to filter rows to include only the insurance plan code 83. Remove other columns that we don't need. So just as before, what you will do is you will create DRP subsidy percent. This is going to be the VLOOKUP table. This is going to be what the users see. This is going to be what's going to be used in the code later. These are the subsidy percents. Okay? We need, so you can take a look at the master file. Yeah. So the DRP underscore subsidy percent is the name of the tab there. Yeah, coming in a moment. How are you guys? You done? Okay. Oh, but this is coverage level. We want the subsidy percent. Oh, so, no, you did that. This is the dashboard. Okay, so now we have to move forward. If you're not done with this, just pay attention for a little bit, and then you can continue. But a lot of people are done, and we have to give them new stuff to work on. So eventually, to price this insurance, we'll have to get daily prices. Okay. The problem is, or the challenge is that the USDA does not assign a state and a practice to each daily price record. Rather, what they do is they let me show you daily prices. Navigation. So rather, what they do, the field that uniquely identifies the state for which these prices are written, the practice for which these prices are written, and something else, all of that is staffed together in what's called insurance offer ID. So they essentially took a few of those primary keys, a primary key for state, a primary key for quarter, and one more primary key that I will now introduce, and then all three of them together become this one primary key that doesn't have any intrinsic meaning, it's just a number, and that number then uniquely identifies each row in the prices table. What state is it for? What quarter is it for? And what kind of product is it? Now, before we do that, I have to explain to you the types of daily revenue protection. So there are you can very highly generalizable. You can talk about dairy producers as having two business models: either producing high solids milk that will be used for processing. So when you're making cheese, you don't want water, you want butterfat and protein. Or you have dairymen that are very close to the large population centers, on East Coast in particular. And what they want is they just want to produce a lot of fluid, because fluid is consumed, and whereas consumers can tell a difference in the butterfat content, they really can't tell the difference that much in the protein content, or at least we thought so until very recently when the new products was introduced. I see some Fairlife here, in your bag. That's a high protein. Oh, yeah. So the data was designed in such a way that those people that care about components, butterfat and protein tests, they can declare butterfat and protein test in the calculator. Those people that don't care about components, they can only declare, they can declare that they don't care about components, they will be priced differently. So those are called types. And there are two types, type 831 and 832. This doesn't need to have much more sense at this point. It will start making sense very, very soon. So what I would like you to do now, what I need you to do now is two things. In the DRP parameters, we will do this one in line 6 first because it's simpler. So you see what I did here? I concatenated the state, the practice, and I added 831, dash 831 at the end. 831 is just another primary key. It's just another key. This time that key is for the type. It indicates that people using this don't care about components. They will be protecting their node using class 3 and class 4 prices. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we need to create, this is going to be our VLOOKUP a string. And then we will use that in conjunction with the insurance offer ID table. So this is 030 is the insurance offer ID table. Just a few steps there. I filtered rows to keep the insurance plan code 83. I removed other columns. So I only left state, type, and practice. I sorted them. You don't even need to sort them, I think. I merged them. So I merged them by saying, merge these three and put a dash in between. Okay, and I call that column index. So here's how the final insurance offer ID table has to look like. This is what's going to go into our VLOOKUP. And this is the number that needs to be returned. So, and you have this file so you can take a peek. And so we are now going to do line 6. Insurance offer ID. This class here just indicates this for class prices. Insurance offer ID class. This is the number that needs to be returned when you enter these data. So this is Minnesota, practice 806. That would be fourth quarter of 2019. And 831 indicates it's the class pricing option. We'll talk about it in a bit. This part is a little bit abstract right now. I know it is, but bear with me. It's going to pay huge dividends. Once we have this number, this is going to start giving us what we need to pull the daily prices, the latest daily prices, only for Minnesota, only for this quarter, and only for pricing class insurance. Class-based insurance, class price-based insurance. So let's do this step. Let's do the insurance offer ID step right now. So when you get to a point where you have this concatenate, the next thing to do is you need to create a query that will just have that one. No, sorry, no, forget that. Everything as before. Yeah, so this is our VLOOKUP table. Oh, you have to leave us. Oh, we'll come back on Thursday. You may get more than one record, but like. Oh. You got it, guys? We only have a few more minutes left. Who's still working on it? One hand there, two hands, three hands, four hands. Okay, I gotta introduce the next step. We are recording this. I'm going to post it this afternoon. I know you were waiting a few days for the last week's lecture. I just posted it this morning. But I want to introduce the next step so that you can work on it, for the next 10 minutes, those that are done. Okay, so what we are going to do now, we are going to use this insurance software ID produced in the parameters. So we have an insurance software ID. We're going to use that ID to pull only the daily prices data that are relevant for us. So only those data that have that insurance software ID. So in order to do that, I first need to create. So I first need to create this connection-based query. So I need to make this be available in the memory rather than just on the sheet. So if you recall how we did that, I'll do it again here. So I'll go to data, I'll go to from table range. Before you do that, name this. You have to assign this a named range. You have to assign a name to this cell. So name it insurance offer ID class. So when somebody clicks on top of on that cell, they should see insurance offer ID. They shouldn't see B6 like they will see B7 here, but here they should see insurance offer ID class. Okay? And once you have that name, go to data, from, table or range. Let's see if this is okay. We want to drill in. Bless you. Drill down. Yeah, and this is the number that we want. And close and load. Yeah, it will just create insurance offer ID 2 in my master file because I already have it there. Remember, we don't need the actual sheet, so we can remove the sheet, delete the sheet. So now this will make it a connection only query there. So create that. I'll remove it now because I already have it. Create that. Once you have that, you need to open the table 833, DRP daily prices, 833. So in that table, what you will do is you will filter rows such that the insurance offer ID is equal to your parameter. So you see in the code, you will have to go into the code, and here you will enter that IDM insurance offer ID is equal to the insurance offer ID. This is the name of the column. That's why it's in square brackets. This is the name of the parameter that is now in the memory because we just loaded it into memory. Okay? So when you do, so the way you implement that in practice is you go to navigation, and then you just create a dummy. You just click on the downward shape, downward facing triangle here, and then select one number, whatever, and then from that number, once you have that number, you go to Advanced Editor and you replace. You find that row, find that line, and you replace that with the name of the parameter, insurance offer ID. This is how I created it in the first place. I don't need this step now anymore, so I'll erase it here. Okay, so I'll just want to finish this so that you can work last few minutes, and so it's on the video. Once you have filtered the data to have only this ADM insurance offer ID, why do we have more of them? Because each of these has a different release, it has a different sales date. You see that all of these have different sales dates. They're all for the same state. They're all for the same quarter. They're all for the same type. All of these are for class prices, but they're on different dates. Every day the prices change. Whenever you price an insurance product, you want to offer the price that reflects the market reality on that particular day. So what we are doing next is we are filtering it so that the sales effective date is less than target sales effective date. So this is another parameter. This parameter is in the memory, and we created it. Let me close this. We created it by having it in the what if tab in the cell. Let's say that it's I5. In the I5, we put in a date. This becomes a parameter that we're going to first name target sales effective rate. Once we have named it, we will use it to filter daily prices. Okay? And once we have filtered daily prices on, so that they are on or before that date, where are my daily prices? So I have first filtered it to be only that state and practice that I want. Then I filtered it to be only up through that date. So if that date is March 4th, then all of them are included. But if that date was earlier, then some of them would be excluded. Then I sorted them descendingly, so that the latest data is first, and then it drops down. So the latest data, and then older and older data below that. And then finally, I kept the first row. So ultimately, what you should have, and we'll continue this on Thursday, what you should have is a table. Where is it? Daily price class. You should have a tab in Excel that has a single record that has the prices that we will later manipulate. So $15.95 is your expected class price for the first month of this quarter, the $16.14 for the second month of this quarter, etc. So if you can, I'll post the video today. If you can get this part done at home, that will be wonderful. Before Thursday, it's going to take you about half an hour. If you don't get it done at home, we'll finish this on Thursday, first thing, before we continue and do the rest. Are there any questions before we close the shop for the day? All good? All clear? Wonderful. I'll see you on Thursday. Okay. Yeah. So if so, homework is originally due tomorrow. I prefer not to spend class time on homework this week for two reasons. First, we only have one more class period, and I do want to. I want you to leave this class with bragging rights to your friends. I know how to build a calculator. Yeah, with all of these complexities in Excel. I can build complex structures. It will help you in a job interview, especially if you actually develop a file like this and you can show it to them. So I need Thursday for that. But if you need help with homework, then I'm happy to meet with you on Thursday after class or in my office, or we can have more office hours of that. So homework is due tomorrow, but if you need more time, no penalties. Just take a few more days to complete it. And then try to meet me either Thursday or Friday, so maybe we can wrap it up by this week. Does that sound reasonable to everyone? Okay, great. I'll see you on Thursday.